Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. On 15th of August, Gujarat government decided to release Bilkis Bano's 11 rapists. That decision has evoked widespread condemnation ever since. Bilkis has been betrayed, has been the voice that has echoed since. From silent protests in the country to 134 former civil servants writing to the Supreme Court asking for the reversal of the Gujarat government decision. And today, Mamata Banerjee decided to raise her voice. She announced a 2-day dharna to demand justice for Bilkis Bano and for her rapists to be re-imprisoned. Her call for justice for Bilkis comes at a time when the Supreme Court has already agreed to hear the case challenging the Gujarat government's decision to grant remission to the convicts and has issued notices to the Gujarat government. Listen in to what Mamata Banerjee said today.
মহিলাদের আমি বলবো বিলকিস বানুর যারা হত্যাকারী গুজরাটে ধর্ণা দিয়ে গান্ধী মূর্তির পাশে 48 আওয়ার্স বসে থাকবে যে ইমিডিয়েট সুপ্রিম কোর্টকে হস্তক্ষেপ করে उधर अरेस्ट करानोर व्यवस्था करते हैं। अब हम लोगों को पास भी लेटर भेजा, सबको छोड़ दो, स्वाधीनता का 75 साल है, ये आपने मौका लिया और सब स्टेट गवर्नमेंट को लेटर लिखा, ये लोगों को छोड़ देना चाहिए। लेकिन तब हम लोगों को समझ में नहीं आया था कि इसमें आप गुजरात दंगाकारी वो लोगों को भी छोड़ देंगे। आपको शर्म तो होना चाहिए। आप बेटी का बात करते हैं, आप प्यार का बात करते हैं, और सबसे ज्यादा बेटी का ऊपर अत्याचार कौन करते हैं? आप करते हैं।
Well, Mamata Banerjee, as the woman chief minister of Bengal, is well within her rights to seek that the Supreme Court should set right the order or the flawed order of the Gujarat government. But I also want to ask Mamata Banerjee, if she's crying for women's rights, why is her voice so selective? I ask this because there are many women in West Bengal who are feeling a sense of betrayal tonight, especially those who saw their lives change in a matter of a few minutes back in 2021 in the post-poll violence. Crimes that shook the conscience of the nation in the aftermath of the assembly elections in the state last year. Rape survivors recounting their horrific tales only for their chief minister, their ma, to abandon them and brush their allegations under the carpet. And that duplicity is what the BJP is reminding the Trinamool Congress today. Listen in.
So now I think she's forgotten about the number of rapes, the number of inhumanities put on, wreaked upon women in our state, despite us, this state having a woman chief minister. She's got no sympathy, she's got no sensitivity, she doesn't even think it's recommended that she puts in one comment of sensitivity. At least, as a woman, she should be feeling the humiliation, the pain that a woman goes through. No, but she's bothered about Bilkis Bano and the accused there who've been released after a full-fledged 14 years of life imprisonment.
Actually, Trinamool Congress क्या है? Trinamool All India Trinamool Congress पार्टी है। उस जगह में जाकर धरना प्रदर्शन करने से ठीक रहेगा। ये बिल्किस बानो का मैटर सामने इसलिए लाया जब पश्चिम बंगाल की जनता अभी ममता जी का जो पार्टी तृणमूल कांग्रेस उसका असली चेहरा उसका सामने है, उससे नजर हटाने के लिए बिल्किस बानो हो रहा है। क्या है बिल्किस बानो? कोई स्प्रे इंसिडेंट लेकर के कोई नहीं होता, वो एबरेशन है ये।
It's not just about the post-poll violence. NCRB data of 2019-20 suggests that the West Bengal is the second state in the country where crimes against women are at an alarming level. From 29,859 cases in 2019, these have grown to 36,439 in 2020. Even the conviction rate in these cases is at the lowest ebb ever of 2% in West Bengal against a national average of about 30%. And the question we're asking on the News Hour tonight, because it is the legitimate question, Mamata for Bilkis Bano, is that hypocritical? That's the question and that's the debate coming up on the other side. Mamata for Bilkis, that's the hashtag and the debate coming up.
You're watching the News Hour at 9. Debate number 1 on Times Now. Super Prime Time.
Joining me tonight, Shehzad Poonawalla, national spokesperson of the BJP, Dr. Anand Ranganathan, author, Mamata Banerjee, political analyst. But my first question goes to Professor Manojit Mondal, spokesperson of the Trinamool Congress. And Professor Manojit Mondal, please don't get me wrong. I am one with you in raising my voice for justice for Bilkis Bano, and why her rapists were released is something I question today, and I have questioned since the day this happened. But I want to ask you, what about Ms. Mamata Banerjee's own stand of crimes against women? Can I read out to you what the High Court had to say last year? And they said that page number 169 of the NHRC report, the information obtained from the DGP West Bengal says that no rape had occurred at all. Offences merely related to attempt to rape or sexual molestation. And 29 cases have been handed over by the NHRC to the CBI, but the DGP saw no rape. It was only attempt to rape and sexual molestation. Point number 1. And point number 2, April 12th, do you remember when Trinamool leader's son was accused of a rape? What did Mamata Banerjee say? She said, was it a rape or was it a love affair gone wrong? This, when the investigation was on. I want to ask you, Manojit Mondal, raise your voice against Bilkis Bano. We welcome that. But what about what's happening in your own backyard, Mr. Mondal?
So you were referring to a report made by BJP's committee of NHRC last year, which we reject with utter condemnation at our command. We condemn the brutal violence perpetrated against one woman recently, just 3 days back, in Basirhat area of North 24 Organas, made by 2 BSF Jawans. Both are in the custody. The kind of brutal sexual assault on a woman, throwing her baby out of her lap, these 2 BSF Jawans. You mean to say that we should not raise voice against these crimes? I repeat, West Bengal, don't go by our data, West Bengal, especially Calcutta, is one of the safest cities for women in the country. Please check your facts right. And you were talking about the post-poll violence. Post-poll violence, who is inquiring? Who is investigating for the last 1.5 years? It is Central Bureau of Investigation. Show me a single case of charge sheet why Trinamool leaders are involved in those quote-unquote alleged post-poll violences which have been running ad nauseam for the last 1 year. I repeat, the investigation is being done by the CBI. You are rightly referring. The cases were handed over to the CBI. We want to know, as a citizen of this country and of Bengal, what are the results that CBI has given us? Because they were largely narratives floated, transmitted, perpetrated by a section of media, not of course you, on the behest of the BJP, which they have been doing for the last 5 years systematically to malign Mamta and the people of Bengal. Failed terribly.
Well, I want to ask you, Manojit Mondal, you are talking about the BJP's NHRC. May I ask you, are you saying the Calcutta High Court is also the BJP's Calcutta High Court? Because these observations are in the court order right here, and there are cases, and this is tabulated right here. If I can show this on camera, these are the cases listed, and FIR that has not been filed. This is in the High Court order, my friend Manojit Mondal. Not just nothing was registered here. Instead, what you have done, 12 FIRs were registered against me in the Nupur Sharma case. For what? I did not even come to Bengal. I did what I had to. The Supreme Court is what came in. 12 12 FIRs against me, but no FIRs in the cases of rapes. That is your standard, and that is your accountability of crimes against women in your state, Mr. Manojit Mondal. And Shehzad Poonawalla, I want to ask you. Does he mean to say that the High Court also belongs to the BJP?
May I respond?
Yes, please respond.
For the first time, Navika, in so many years, I am hearing about two categories of rape and atrocities on women. Secular rape and atrocities on women, and communal rape and atrocities on women. बिल्किस पर आक्रोश और अंकिता पर खामोश. अंकिता की एक ही खता की तुष्टीकरण की मिल रही है उसे सजा. This is the double standards and double speak and political convenience with which now even rapes and atrocities on women are being judged. What would you say about a woman who says that a young girl was raped in Nadiad and she comes out and says that this is not a rape, it is in fact a love affair that has gone wrong? That woman happens to be the Chief Minister of Bengal. Where is the outrage on this? 7,000 women were molested during the post-poll violence, and this was a report submitted by a retired High Court judge. Where is the akrosh on this? In Birbhum, when young children and women were massacred, Mamata Banerjee, the favorite of the Chief Minister, said that this was a TV short circuit that caused it. 5 women were raped, young women were raped from the tribal community in April 2022. No action was taken. In fact, there was an attempt to defend the rapist, the accused, who belonged to the TMC, and the court had to intervene and direct that the probe should be done in a proper manner, and the report was sought by the High Court. The same High Court had to intervene even in the post-poll violence case, and in fact it went on to say that the state government tried to downplay these cases of rapes and did not file the FIRs. This is also a case where 17-year-old to a 60-year-old both filed affidavits in Supreme Court saying how TMC leaders raped them, and there was no action or outrage by the Trinamool Congress government. And to top it all, this is a government, an MP of the TMC went on to say about the Park Street rape victim that she was actually indulging in a deal which went wrong. This is the true face of the Trinamool Congress. By the way, Kolkata has the lowest conviction rate when it comes to crimes against women. The national conviction rate is about 30%. Kolkata happens to be 7.8%. The highest rise in crimes against women took place in West Bengal in 2019-2020, while it was coming down nationally. The lowest rates of conviction against women atrocities and crimes happens to be in West Bengal, and Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Gujarat, Madhya Pradesh happen to have a higher conviction rate. This is the reality which the West Bengal government should acknowledge, but unfortunately even such a matter has now been politicized. I just have one question of Trinamool Congress. Why is there no outrage on Ankita's case? Because the victim happens to be...
It's only Kadi Ninda.
Because the accused happens to be from a particular religion.
Because Ankita is a Hindu.
And because the accused happens to be Shahrukh.
The state, there are two things that have to be decided, and I am asking you, Manojit Mondal, is the religion first or the state first? Choose amongst these, because if it is a BJP ruled state, you will go after it. If it's a non-BJP state, it doesn't really mean anything. You will just say, hum kadi ninda karte hain. I want to ask you, will you decide what is your reaction based on the religion of the victim and the state in which she has been raped, Manojit Mondal, yes or no?
As an individual, I feel ashamed when two of you are communalizing rape. For us, rape is a rape, murder is a murder.
Then why did Mamta Banerjee on 12th of April say that is this a rape or is it a love affair gone wrong?
Madam, just I'm replying. First of all, when there is a rape in the Basirhat, North 20 Parganas, perpetrated by BSF Jawans, did you take up the case, madam? You may not. That's your prerogative. That's your editorial policy. We have nothing to do with that. For us, whether the girl is Hindu, Muslim, doesn't matter. What are you talking about? I feel ashamed again.
Okay.
To participate in such a debate. Why rape is being communalized?
Very noble of
Bilkis
you and
Dr.
Anand
It is international role. It created outrages even among international communities. The way these people were left out.
Dr. Anand Ranganathan wants to come in. Dr. Anand Ranganathan, Professor Manojit Mondal, of course, tried to say this is the BJP's NHRC, a matter that was rejected by the High Court itself in paragraph paragraph 67,
I repeat and I stand by my charge.
Yes, the court examined your charge, my friend. The court examined your charge, and in paragraph 67 said entire effort seems to be to misdirect the issue and delay the proceedings
before them. You perhaps know about the proceedings in a court, madam. The court will examine the documents, evidences produced before them. The court doesn't make an investigation. The investigation is being made by a BJP's commission. 3% so as BJP members, including one former ABVP. What are you talking about? The court will examine those documents presented by the BJP commission.
Dr. Anand Ranganathan,
litany of charges,
the purest party in the country or in the world possibly is the Trinamool Congress, and the BJP possibly the most hateful party. Respond to the charges made by Professor Manojit Mondal.
Certainly purer than BJP. Certainly purer than BJP.
Can I please?
Yes. Yes.
Thank you. Good evening, Navika. It's a very sensitive topic, and I have a couple of minutes of talking about really serious issues, so I would beg your indulgence, and I beg the indulgence of my co-panelists not to interrupt me, because this is a very serious topic. Thank you. It is a shame, Navika, that this happening and the events surrounding Ms. Bilkis Bano have been heavily politicized. You remember on your show a couple of weeks ago when this whole news came about, I was one of the first ones to condemn what had happened. Not only was the rape most heinous crime, what happened to Ms. Bano, but the way the government handled it, there was a straight conflict of interest in the panel that decided whether the rapist should come out of prison after having finished their quanta of punishment, which was legal. So there was absolutely the coming out was legal, as has been ascertained by Supreme Court. But the committee, obviously, as I said as well, there's a straight conflict of interest, because politicians, especially BJP politicians, and we've heard their comments later on, absolutely partisan and should not have been allowed. And what also should never have been allowed, or at least it was grisly to see those people having come out being garlanded. It was reminiscent of the killer of Rajiv Gandhi being garlanded and felicitated by the Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu, as well as Bishop Murukkal being garlanded when he was rape accused, as well as those people who were lynched in Jharkhand being garlanded. So these things are absolutely execrable and should be condemned by everyone. Now let me come and quote directly by the observations of the court order of Calcutta High Court last year. And incidentally, I say this, so please give me less than a minute. And I say this, that there are 36,000 rapes that happen in this country. Not one rape is more heinous than the other, according to me. I am in no position to comment further on that, but let me say this. One should not play politics on rape, and these are verbatim comments by the Calcutta High Court. It is established that there had been post-poll violence and the state was found on a wrong foot, where throughout it was on a denial mode. In violence, number of persons were killed. Many suffered sexual violence and grievous injuries. Even minor girls were not spared. They have been brutally assaulted sexually. Properties of many of them were damaged, and number of them were forced to leave their houses and even migrate to neighboring states. Till date, the state has not been able to create an atmosphere that could build confidence of the sufferers to return back to their homes or carry on their occupation. The complaints of most of them were not recorded by the police, or cross cases were forced against them. This is verbatim from the court order of the Calcutta High Court. Is it being run by BJP? Why are we politicizing such heinous crimes? And just to answer your question, finally, I'm not concerned with rebutting the panelists out here, because I know since 1945, there are people who enable and who say that evil is banal, the banality of evil. There are Eichmanns in this world, Navika. You would always find people who justify, rationalize such crimes. So I am here to say my piece, and I'm not here to rebut any panelists. Thank you so much.
Well, I want to ask Anirban Banerjee. Anirban Banerjee, of course we must all, as a nation which has a conscience which is still alive, we should ask for justice for Bilkis Bano. Certainly we should. But I want to ask you, what is the West Bengal government's track record on crimes against women? I want to ask you this because you cannot have double standards. And is this issue of Bilkis Bano only a convenient tool because there are elections in Gujarat? I'm sorry, as a woman, I'm appalled. I'm appalled that the Chief Minister, who just 4 months ago said that, oh, this rape is a love affair that's gone wrong. Why? Because the accused happened to be the son of a Trinamool leader? Is that why? Would you make a difference between one rape and another? And would something that is under investigation be an issue for a comment of this nature by the Chief Minister herself, who's also the Home Minister of the state, under whom law and order comes? So Mamata Banerjee, you know, I just want to ask you, is there hypocrisy? Is there double standards?
I'll tell you what a double standard, the very definition of double standard is. That is, in the morning from the Lal Killa, our Prime Minister flows with words about respecting women, about revering them as goddesses and everything. And right in the evening, we come to know that 11 of the not just mass rapists, but murderers, Bano, who actually smashed her 3-year-old child, let the word be registered, smashed her 3-year-old child and killed her. They were let free by the BJP government.
Do not describe this because it is offensive. I agree with you in toto. But can you also raise your voice about Dumka and Ankita, who was burnt alive, first acid poured on her and then burnt alive, and the Chief Minister of Jharkhand with all his MLAs is actually taking a boat ride? Not one word against that? Not one word against that?
Just a minute. In which incident did you see that the convicted rapists, not accused, are garlanded? They are
okay, so there is only whataboutery. Shehzad Poonawalla.
So, while we do not support anybody garlanding any convict, I would now ask him that when a young girl has been raped and she needs justice from the state, and when the head of that state says that how do we even know that this girl has been raped, thereby victim shaming and victim blaming, that the victim herself is responsible for the things that have happened with her, or when a 60-year-old lady files an affidavit in the top court saying that a TMC leader gang raped me in front of my grandchildren, at that time we ask that is this a BJP-led panel that is making the allegation, thereby impugning that the woman who has made this allegation on an affidavit to the Supreme Court belongs to the BJP or is linked to the BJP, and therefore she's making an allegation which is so serious in nature. What is the stand of the TMC government on this? The fact of the matter is that today, if there was genuine concern for Mati Manush, Mamta Banerjee would be taking action on these cases. Mamta Banerjee would be telling us that those who allowed these incidents to take place under her watch, what action did she take on them? She in fact tried to defend the accused. In one case you have those people being convicted and being left out after a remission policy which may or may not be right or wrong. That can be debated. It's gone to the Supreme Court and certainly nobody defends the felicitation of those people. But now I ask the TMC leaders, and I can see that the official TMC spokesperson is not here. The TMC should tell us that when the head of the state comes out and victim shames and says that the victim is not raped, it was perhaps a love affair, or that perhaps it was a deal that went wrong and that was the sexual assault that took place in the Park Street rape case, will they take an unequivocal stand and say that the head of the state was wrong?
Manojit Mondal, respond to that charge.
First of all, we do not really know the result of the investigation which is being done by you, meaning the BJP government, CBI. We want to know the result in both the cases that you are referring to.
The cases went to the courts ruled on them.
Did I
the
stop
Nadia
you, sir?
case was transferred
Have some
to
courtesy.
the CBI by
You are getting uninterrupted times.
No, it is not about that.
Did I Did I stop you?
Are you saying High Court is managed by the BJP?
Are
you saying High Court is managed by the BJP?
First of all,
who transferred the probe of the Nadia rape case to the CBI?
Of a party, you should allow the equal time to your counterpart. I mean, I don't know.
There'll be equal time, but where is the equal akrosh? Where is the equal protest? Where is the equal confrontation that you have towards these cases?
I did not disturb you, sir. You learned courtesies. That is your problem.
All right.
You people are violent even inside the TV studio. Look at the level of violence that you perpetrated. 30% of your MPs are criminal, including they have charges of rapes and murder, including terrorism. What are you talking about? We learn peace from BJP. 30% of your MPs are criminal.
And therefore it is justified for the CM to doubt a 16-year-old and ask her that whether she was raped or whether it was a love affair gone
inside the studio and even outside the studio. Look how
you are justifying Mamata Banerjee's statement about a 16-year-old girl.
Outside the studio. And let me speak.
Okay.
Can I speak, sir?
Okay.
Can I have my say,
you have 45 seconds. Make your point. If you can justify or explain any of the charges against you.
Victims, yes. Park Street rape victims got justice in 4 years.
What action did you take on
rape victims got justice in 9 months. The government, look at this man, look at this man, look at this man.
I said that this was a deal that went wrong. Now you tell me what action did you take on an MP?
Okay.
You were so perturbed that somebody facilitated
Shehzad Poonawalla,
what did you take action on?
1 minute. You make your point and then Shehzad you can rebut.
All the cases of what we investigated, you are unable to give them justice. The rape victim that you are alleging, CBI investigating, nothing has been done as yet. No justice. We gave justice to all the rape victims when state investigation was done in 9 months, in 3 years, in 2 years. You are investigating now the post-war violence and those rape cases, quote-unquote alleged rape cases. You are unable to give them justice. This is BJP and their CBI. I make this charge on national TV. You people are unable to investigate.
Not one single answer except charges. Yes. Okay, Manojit Mondal, you made your point. You have nothing to say about the Chief Minister calling rape and calling it a love affair gone wrong. You have nothing to say about the High Court's observations and orders on cases not even being recorded. You have nothing to say. All right, we understand you are above question, but Shehzad Poonawalla, respond.
I just need 5 seconds.
Respond.
Instead of frothing at the seams, Manojit Mondal should only tell us that if he is so perturbed and disturbed with some private people felicitating, which I am calling as wrong. Now, Mamata Banerjee, even before the investigation could take place in Nadia case, which was transferred to the CBI by the High Court, gave a clean sheet to the accused. What action should be taken on her? Secondly, Kakoli goes Dastidar in the case which you mentioned, Park Street case, which you are saying that well done by us, we have taken action. In that case, she said that this was actually a deal that went wrong, thereby victim shaming. You tell me that after the conviction has come in the Park Street rape case, what action did you take on Kakoli goes? You want action on those some private people which are nowhere linked with BJP, and I am condemning it. You have not even sent the official representative of TMC because you can't answer these questions. This is your double standard.
And I want to play out, the sound bite of a victim who we got on our cameras last year in May. And the High Court's order came in August. Between May and August, what people went through, please listen in to this victim.
2 तारीख में मेरा घर में 65 लोग में आया, आके हम लोग को मार के घर से निकाल दिया, दे के 2 बोतल पेट्रोल रख दिया मेरा घर में, रख के बोला जो रात 12 का अंदर ना नहीं गया तो तुमको जिंदा जला देगा।
कौन थे ये लोग?
ये लोग था तृणमूल का आदमी, प्रार्थी था, प्रसन्नजीत शाह था और लोग था, विजय था, कोयल था, सब लोग का नाम तो याद नहीं है अभी। तो ये लोग था, मेरा पारा का लड़का लोग ही था। तो ये लोग ऐसे किया, मेरा को ऐसे यहाँ पर सीना में मारा, कान में चार मारा, मेरा हस्बैंड को ऐसे मारा। तो तबीयत खराब था, शिशु मंगल में भर्ती था, यही से ट्रीटमेंट कर रहा है।
Dr. Anand Ranganathan, that's a testimony of a woman and the horror she went through. No response on that. Ever.
No, happened actually to see what has happened to the victims of the post-poll violence. It occurs to me that every political party has forgotten them, including the BJP, has to be said. There has not been a single word from the top echelons of the BJP regarding the post-poll violence. There are still people who migrated, fleeing this violence of a horrible sexual nature, who migrated away from Bengal. They are still to be rehabilitated back in Bengal. The world has forgotten about them, like the world forgot about the Marijhap massacre that happened 45 years ago, when 10,000 Dalits were brutally raped and massacred, and the communists did that, perpetrated it, and still not a single person has been held guilty.
Well, tonight the question that we are asking is just this, that for Mamata Banerjee to raise the issue of Bilkis Bano is extremely welcome. But why does she forget what's happening in her own backyard? Today, we have no tweet that's come in from Rahul Gandhi or Priyanka Gandhi Vadra, who says, "Ladki hoon, lad sakti hoon," on what happened in Dumka. Ankita has nobody raising their voices for justice. Everybody is absolutely silent because that happened in a non-BJP ruled state. So the question tonight is it politics, or are they fighting for justice for crimes against women? That is the question that bothers me most. Thank you to my panelists for joining me on debate number 1.